G'day YouTube, Michael from Be Your Best Self here. This is my beginner video for my interval training series. In this video I'm going to cover our interval time options as well as going over an EMOM, which is every minute on the minute. That's just another interval option for us to play around with, keep our workouts exciting and fun. Going to be going over all the exercises that I've selected for the beginner option here. So as I mentioned in my intro or overview video, these exercises are scaled right back, so I've made them as easy as I can for just about anybody to begin with. So whether you're an absolute beginner who has no exercise experience at all, someone who might be struggling with their weight and has a difficult time doing some regular body weight exercises, hopefully these options give you something to begin to work with so that you can begin to improve your fitness and your strength and gradually progress through some of the harder and harder stuff. It's all about taking small steps every day to becoming a better version of ourselves. So in this video, I'll also go through all the technique for those exercises, explain them to the best of my ability while still trying to keep this relatively brief. And then I'll also perform some options, some examples of those exercises, how we can group them together and how we can play around with different time intervals in there as well. So I'm going to take this out into my little spot of yard I've got there so I can demonstrate those exercises and you've got a full view of them and I'll walk you through them. As always guys, if you've got questions, please feel free to ask. But for now, let's get out there and do some exercises. Okay guys, so we're going to start with star jumps. Now this might be a little bit too much impact for some people, but for others it's going to be quite simple, so we'll put that in there for the beginners. So star jumps or jumping jacks, very simple. Legs and arms go out, legs and arms come back in. So you can do them broken up like this, or we can tie that together a little bit smoother, going through the star jumps like so. Next one I've got in there is what I just like to call a waist bend, so very similar to a deadlift movement, but obviously we're not using any weight. So we're just going to take a stance between our hip width and shoulder width. Okay, I'll show you this way. So between hip width, shoulder width, alrighty, slight bend in the knee, not too much, and then just going to bend over at the waist. But what we're looking for is keeping that back really straight. Okay, coming over till you got a good stretch in the hamstrings, coming back up. Now I know this seems simple, but we're still just working our way up in difficulty with these exercises. So hips go back, back stays straight, slight bend in the knees. So that's our waist bend, okay. Getting a good stretch in the hamstrings, just working that lower back as well. From there we're going to go into low knees. So basically this is just jogging on the spot, but just keeping the impact quite low. Okay, so by keeping our knees quite low. So it's very simple, low knees, just jogging on the spot. That's one option. Another one in there is a power walk or a jog as well. So we can do that for time, so you can power walk from point A to point B as fast as you can, getting that heart rate up as comfortable as possible. From there, we've got a floor touch. Okay, so this is something that I do in my classes where I've got burpees and I need to modify that for people. So this is just a modified burpee or a floor touch, okay? Bending down, touching the floor. So again, we're really focusing on keeping that back straight. Okay, so you don't want to be curling over to get to the floor. You want to sit those hips back, bend the knees, coming back up. So similar to the waist bend, but we're getting a little bit more knee bend in this one. That's our floor touch. And a little core exercise I've got is just a lying leg hold. Okay, so just laying on our backs, just holding those legs out, hovering. Looks easy, but it's actually harder than it looks, sorry. So just holding those out there, keeping my core engaged, trying to keep my back fairly flat on the ground. That's our lying leg hold. Now for the next few, I want to regress things like the squat and stuff. So I'm going to use a chair, which obviously is something that everybody will have around the house. So I'm going to use this to support some squats, okay? So a chair squat. So again, we're looking for that shoulder width stance around here. Focusing on keeping our back as straight as possible, sitting our hips back onto the chair. So this is just a good way to get in some squats while still keeping it nice and safe. Okay, so you've got that chair there for support. So you can either just touch the chair and come back up, so you're keeping tension on those muscles the whole time. And if that's a little too hard, then obviously we can just take a rest, come back up. But as you rest, be sure not to curl and relax your whole body there. okay, because then you're out of position as we come back up. So if I'm going to sit, I still need to keep my core nice and tight, my back nice and straight. Now the other point I'll make about the squat is just about our knees, okay? So we don't want our knees coming in here, very weak position. So we want to reinforce good habits right from the get-go. So as we're squatting, I'm really trying to keep my knees out. So I'm doing that by twisting the ground. Twisting the ground apart. That keeps really good tension on my legs, keeps my knees in a good strong position. That's something we want to reinforce right from day one. Okay, there we have the chair squat. Now here is a plank option. Again, something I like to do if doing a plank on the ground is a little too difficult. I'm going to take that to the chair. So you can get in position here, elbows onto the chair. Then I'm going to come up on my toes and try and hold that position really nice and straight. So obviously you can look into the mirror here and just check your posture is in the right position. But this is a good way of just making the plank a little bit easier, okay, and just introducing you into this type of movement. So this is really working on those stability muscles in our core. Obviously to make that easier, you can bring that level up and up, okay, until it's something that you're able to maintain for our period of time. Alrighty, from there we're going to go into some more core exercises here. Holding onto the chair, I can just bring my knees up. So again, nice and straight, engaged in my core, lifting my knees up. Okay, really trying to use my abdominal muscles to bring those knees up. And then to make that a little bit harder, I can have my legs out straighter there. So chair knee lift, chair leg lift, chair mountain climber. So this is another good one with to get the heart rate up a little bit higher. Stabilizing myself on the chair, bringing my knees up. So very similar to jogging on the spot with a little less impact. So a really good one to get people moving those feet without too much impact. And again, we can break this up into intervals or into segments. Okay, but if you can, let's keep that moving nice and quickly. So that's our chair mountain climber. Alrighty, we've got one to go. So we're going into the push-up, elevated push-up. So again, just making it a little bit easier than doing this on the ground. You can start on your knees, coming down so that my hands are in line with my chest. So I don't want them out too far out in front. Okay, my elbows are going to flare out. It's going to be a very shoulder heavy exercise. So I want to make sure I'm coming down with my hands are in line with my chest and I'm able to tuck my elbows back a little bit. Alrighty, once that gets nice and easy, bring it up onto the toes. Okay, and then you can work down onto the ground as well. So they are all our beginner exercises, guys. Hopefully there's quite a few in there that you're able to do to bring into your exercise routine. I'm going to catch my breath and then I'm going to go into showing you some examples of how we can use that in our interval training. All right, guys, so I'm going to take you through an example of how you can structure this workout for yourself now. So we've got some different time options. So I'm going to have this PDF available for you guys so that you can look through all the different options. The exercises are written down, the interval time options are written down, and there's also some suggestions of how you can piece all that together to create your own workout. So I'm going to work through one for you and so you can see how that goes. But our interval time options, I would say for beginners, range from 10 seconds on, 15 seconds off, 10 seconds on, 20 seconds off, 15 seconds on, 20 seconds off, 15 seconds on, 30 off, 20 on, 30 off, 20 on, 40 off. So you can see how that tends to work. So I try and keep, for beginners, I try and keep the rest period longer than the working period. Okay, and I would say that when you're getting into the 20 on time intervals, that we're doing a moderate intensity. So that's where you're going a lot slower through those exercises. Okay, so you're able to do them for a longer period of time. So if you're an absolute beginner, that would be my suggestion. Starting very slowly, with longer periods of work and long rest periods. So maybe something like 20 seconds on, 40 seconds off. You can do that with anything, by the way. So if you're going for a walk, you can do a power walk for 20 seconds and then a slower walk for 40. Power walk for 20. What that's doing is it's just encouraging your body to get the heart rate a little higher, but still giving you plenty of time to rest and recover and just bump that heart rate up again. So it's a really good way of just introducing your body to some higher intensity exercises. So for the example, I'm going to be doing 10 seconds on, 20 seconds off, and I'm going to be doing a series of 5 exercises. So I'm going to go star jumps, chair squats, a waist bend, a chair plank, and a low knees or jogging on the spot. So I'm going to go through those. So how that'll work is for the first 10 seconds I'll be doing star jumps, then I'll have a 20-second rest, and then I'll go into chair squats, 20-second rest, waist bends, and so on. And I'll probably speed that up in the video so it just doesn't take too long for you guys to go through. So that's one of the options that you can do. You can piece together some of those exercises to create a little circuit of 5 exercises or 3 exercises, or you can just stick to one exercise and just hammer that repeatedly. So it's entirely up to you guys to customize that, but I'm happy to answer questions and put together something for you if you've got any questions about that. Then we'll go through and do 3 to 5 rounds, for example, maybe 1 minute rest in between. So all of these give you options to increase the difficulty, keeping the exercises the same. You can start to increase your work periods, decrease your rest periods, decrease your resting between those rounds as well. The EMOM is a little different, and I'll demonstrate one of those as well. But what we can do for that is say pick 2 or 3 exercises. So for example, I might do 10 star jumps, 6 chair squats. So I do those 2 exercises as quickly as I can, and then I rest until the minute starts again. And then as soon as it hits on minute 2, I go through 10 star jumps, 6 chair squats, rest until the minute starts again. So I like to try and structure that so I'm doing about 30 to 40 seconds of work and then 30 to 20 seconds of rest. So that's another way to go through that interval training, okay? So without further ado, I'm gonna go back into my little workout courtyard. I'm gonna go through some examples, speed it up a little bit for you guys, and hopefully you can see some options that you've got for introducing some of this interval training into your weekly routine. There you have it, guys. Should have done my outro before I went and did the exercises. Too lazy to go and put my microphone back on now, and I'm sweating a bunch. But hopefully you get an idea of how to structure some of those moderate intensity or high intensity exercises together that's going to suit you. So again, look at the PDF, have a look at your timing options and your EMOM options, have a look at the different exercises, work your way through them without the time first, obviously. Just try and dial in that technique, make sure you're doing it correctly, film yourself, have a look in the mirror, whatever you need to do to make sure that your technique is on point. Obviously, we want to avoid injury at all times, but we also want to do the exercises effectively so we're targeting the right muscles. Okay, we can move through them as quickly as possible because we're efficient with our technique. That's the idea behind that. Make sure you're solid on your technique, you're comfortable with the exercises, and then start to structure them together and increase that intensity over time, shortening those rest periods, lengthening those work periods, and improve yourself every day. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate your support. Like, share, subscribe, and comment, and you'll be hearing from me. Thank you.